Alright, so in today's video, I will show you how to create this really cool bullet trail effect from the Matrix. I will also show you how to create this 3D bullet pass-by effect in Adobe After Effects without the use of any external plugins. Except for the bullet trail effect, I will show you the with plugin and without plugin version. If you want to work with the exact same video files as me, get my project files as well as my filmmaking checklist. Link is in the description below. It's 100% for free and it will help you create better videos. Alright, so we're going to start it off with the 3D bullet effect passing by the camera. After that, we're going to jump into the bullet trail effect, and all of this has been made possible by today's video sponsor, Artlist.io. I'm always happy when Artlist reaches out to sponsor one of my videos, because I actually use them all the time, whether it's for their music, sound effects, and stock footage. And they actually just launched Artlist Studio, which gives you full control to generate any shot. You can create your own character, your own location, and keep consistency throughout all your generations, which is a game changer. And when you sign up for the Artlist AI Pro plan, you get 50,000 free credits to get you started. Link is in the description below. And for this effect, I will also be using our free Hollywood VFX bundle, which you can download totally for free. Link is in the description below. Alright, here we are in Adobe After Effects. I have this footage right here of a man shooting a gun towards the camera while the camera is moving backwards. And this is exactly what I want, so I'm going to click and drag this onto this icon right here, which will drop it into a new composition. The first thing that I want to do is track my camera, so I go over to the tracker panel and click track camera. If you don't see that, you can go over to window and then open the tracker right here. So click on that, and while that is running in the background, I'm also going to set the resolution here to full, and I'm also going to click on track motion. So I also want to track the motion here of the gun barrel. So I will go to the gun barrel just like that. And I will make the search a little bit bigger and the center a little bit smaller so it knows exactly what to look at. And then I will track it forward by clicking right here. So right here it's losing it. So I'll go back to the moment where it didn't lose it yet. And then go frame by frame. And then again, track it forward. And keep doing that until you have a perfect track. And there we go. So now we have a tracked version of the gun barrel, which is perfect. So I'm going to create a new null object and call this gun barrel. And then I will go over to edit target and I will choose the gun barrel here. Click OK. Make sure that the time scrubber is at the beginning of the timeline and click apply and OK. So now we have this null parented to the gun barrel, and in the meantime, the 3D tracker should also have done its job, and we can see that it's doing a perfect job here. So now that we have this, I will select my floor here, and then right click, and then set a ground plane and origin. So now the origin of my scene is right here. So now if I'm going to import the bullet that you can also download for free with the link in the description below, I created this asset in Blender. I'm just going to import this into my composition. And now with recent updates of Adobe After Effects, you can just import .glb files, which is extremely awesome. So I'm going to make comp size and click OK. And then I'm going to right click new, and I'm going to create a new light as well. I'm going to make sure that this is an environment light, and I'm going to click OK. Next, we surf to polyhaven.com. Right here, you can find free HDRI files. This is going to be necessary in order to lit our bullet, or in order to light our bullet. So I'm going to choose an outdoor setting and find something that resembles whatever we have. So maybe something urban. Let's say I'm just going to pick this one right here and I'm going to download it. I'm just going to import it right here, and then I'm going to drag and drop it right here into my timeline. So I can uncheck it so we don't see it. And then we can go to our environment light, open up the options here, and you should be able to see source. And right here we can choose our EXR file, and that will change that to our light map, as you can see right here. Now, if you don't see that, toggle the switches and that should pop it up right here. So now we have our bullet, and if we're going to play it, it should also be tracked in our system, which it's not yet. So I'm going to choose my 3D camera tracker. I'm going to right click here and create a solid end camera. And now there we go. our bullet should be tracked in our footage, as you can see right here. Okay, perfect. So we can uncheck the solid, or if you want to just make sure that everything is tracked well, you can just rotate it a little bit, make it a little bit bigger to see it a little bit better. And then add a grid effect to see if it's tracking well, and it seems like it's doing a good job here. So perfect. We can uncheck this. Now we can focus on our bullet. So I'm going to choose my bullet. I'm going to position this right here at the gun, and I'm going to check if it's tracked well here. And it seems like it's tracked well. So maybe we don't need the extra null. The reason why I did it is because I tracked my scene, but hand still has a little bit of movement. So I still wanted it to kind of follow the hand movement, especially at the beginning. But you can do it in either way, so that's why I showed you. We can again choose our bullet, and now I'm going to rotate it in the right angle. So 90 degrees towards here, maybe a little bit more like that. Try to match it in the same direction the gun is pointing at, and then reposition it to the center of that gun. Press S on the keyboard, scale it maybe to 5%. Maybe that's a little bit too small, so a little bit bigger. And we can zoom in here. Hold Control if you want to scale it just a little bit, and then reposition it. Let's see if this is working. So right here you can see that it's not matching or tracking to the gun, and that's because of the hand movement. So what I can do here is, if you don't see that, parent and link it to the gun barrel, and now it should be able to follow. We can always skip this part. So now that we have this here, what I will do is press P on the keyboard and click on the stopwatch for the position. Also press R on the keyboard and click on the stopwatch for orientation, for if you want to change the rotation a little bit later when it's closer to the camera. Then we're going forward in time, and we're going to point it right here. And you can see, before we're actually going to fire it, I'm going to rotate it a little bit more towards the camera. And I think I like this here, and maybe a little bit more to the right, to the bottom, to the right, closer to the camera. And we're going to keep doing that until we feel like it has a nice perspective that is passing the camera very, very closely. So this is pretty cool. I'll let it pass here. And then we can move these two keyframes a little bit further into time. And at the beginning, we can right-click Keyframe Assistance Easy Ease. And let's see how that looks. The bullet is flying in our scene here and giving us pretty nice results. Okay, right here, we're going to have to change the position even more. So make it pass the camera here. And that's because we're further in time of our clip. So just do that again. And so like this, you can match the bullet. And if you want to try it in the other way, so depending on your scene, this is going to be one technique or the other. You can delete the 3D camera tracker and the solid here, and we can focus. So let's just go to the beginning again and reset our settings here. And then position the bullet to the gun. And then we're going to parent it to the gun barrel. And now we should see that it's matching here. And right here, we can go to the gun barrel, press U on the keyboard, and just delete this keyframe here. And right here, it actually doesn't matter anymore. It's especially in the beginning when I shoot. So press S on the keyboard, maybe scale it down even more, and make sure it's in the right angle. And there we go. Position it, press P on the keyboard, click on the stopwatch, and then further into space. You really want to push it forward towards the camera and keep kind of a natural line in mind. And let's see if we like this. Of course, we have to trim the bullet after it passed. Looks really cool, to be honest. Maybe right here, I do want to give it a little bit of a curve and just position it a little bit more here, I guess. And why does it go up? Right here, I also want to keep it down. And we can actually start it from here. That looks great. Okay, so we have our bullet flying towards the camera. I'm going to import the free VFX pack that you can download with a link in the description below. And from this, I'm going to use a few elements here. So first off, we have the bullet shells here. Let's take a slower one. And this one right here, I'm going to import that to my scene. I'm going to place it at my gun and also scale it down quite a bit. Zoom in where necessary. Maybe something like this. Place it over here. Press P on the keyboard, click on the stopwatch. Go to the end of our clip and just move it over here to the side and maybe to the floor. And then click here, press G on the keyboard. And now we can drag this out and make some kind of arc. And do the same here at the bottom, so it gives it kind of this feeling. And then at the beginning, we're going to also drag this to the gun barrel. And so now we have the ejection of our shell while the bullet is flying. And that just gives us a better final touch. We can also enable motion blur for both of these layers. Okay, and then we can also... I'm going to choose an explosion here and use the first explosion. And just right here, trim it. And then right click, time stretched, let's say like 25, pretty fast. And so we get some kind of muzzle flash. But of course it has a little bit too much detail and everything. So first off, I'm going to scale it down quite a bit. Like that, and then press T on the keyboard. And fade it out over time. And then I'm also going to add a curves here. And just push up the black here. And we can wait with the fade out here. And maybe time stretch, set it to 50 instead of 25. And we can also parent this to the gun barrel. And then I'm going to create a new adjustment layer, call this bokeh. Add a camera lens blur effect, set it to 0. And then make sure the explosion, well, actually the explosion, no, just the bullet here is above this adjustment layer. And then click on the stopwatch for the blur radius. And like right here, where the bullet becomes very visible, we want to give it some blur to the background. And press U on the keyboard and maybe move it over a little bit more to the right. And so now we have this kind of focus pull towards the bullet after everything has been shot. And for the first keyframe, we're going to right-click keyframe assistance, easy ease, so it has a gradual transition towards that blur. And if you still feel like this is going too fast, you can drag this out in the graph editor. And that's going to give you better results. I'm also going to change the resolution to quarter just so I get a very quick preview here. That's pretty cool. Press N on the keyboard to end your comp and then trim comp to work area here. I'm going to close everything. Now I'm going to focus on my gun here. So we have the gun. I'm going to duplicate the gun barrel. And I'm going to parent my bullet here to the gun barrel too. Select both of these layers and then I'm going to Ctrl-Shift-C and call this bullet travel. and click OK. And so now we have our bullet pre-composed, and that just gives us the option to add a curves effect here and brighten up the bullet if you want to. Maybe change it back to full resolution so we can see our bullet better. Maybe you want to give it more color, so that's where this comes in. So that's completely up to you. Original with a little bit of editing. And you can also add an RSMB, but that's a paid plugin, although it's the best option here for fake motion blur. And that's just going to add a little bit more realism to our bullet. Okay, and that's how to create this effect. If you want, you can now do a quick color grade to give it that matrix look, and we can create a grade adjustment layer, add a tint effect, and give it a green-ish kind of color. Click OK. And then here, change the blending mode simply to color. And then we can lower the intensity here. And we can also add a curves effect to darken up everything and just place this before the tint effect occurred. Actually, I'm going to set it back to normal. And see if this is enough. Maybe just lowering the value and setting it to normal so that we can just keep everything on one adjustment layer. And so now we get that nice matrix look. If you want, you can give your bullet also some kind of ghost trail effect. To do this, you want to duplicate your gun and add an echo effect. You can delete all the effects except for the echo here and solo this layer for now. And just offset it a little bit and increase the number here. And then also change it to maximum and make sure this is not too high. And just a little bit, and we can also decay it. So it fades out a little bit. So now if we see this together, we have a little bit of a trail effect going on behind it. This will lower or slow down your render. Something like this, and we can also add a tint effect here to give it more that black and white effect, and also a let's go for radial blur, CC fast radial blur, and then go for standard and just, or actually the regular radial blur. So I'm going to add radial blur here, radial CC radial blur, and there we go. So there are that many radial blurs that in the end we don't know anymore. And we're just going to negatively affect it a little bit and move this up. And that way it's a little bit more ghostish like. And if we see this on the effects, change this to screen or to lighten. Let's go for screen, or even add if you want to really have an impact. I will keep it at screen. And just that little bit of ghost effect sells the effect even more.
Hey, it's me, editor. I just want to say that the following section isn't needed for the tutorial. In the next few minutes, Ignace will quickly go over all of the options in the new Artlist Studio. If you don't want to follow along or you have your own recorded footage, you can skip to this part in the video. Quick reminder that you can download the files generated in this following section with the link in the description below, totally for free. Alright, let's continue.
So if we go to Artlist Studio, we can go to our projects right here, and you will see that it feels like an entire software more than just an AI tool. So we can create a new project by clicking here, and I'm going to call this Matrix Tutorial, and then create this project. So this is the interface here. We have framing and directing. Framing is where we're going to be creating our image that we're then going to generate or turn into a video. We have a bunch of options that we are going to explore in a second. And then right here we have our timeline, let's say, where you can do specific shots. And then right here we have our preview monitor. So it feels like an editing software, really. So before we get started, right here we can choose which model we want to use. I'm going for Nano Banana Pro. And then I'm also going to choose 4K and a 16:9 aspect ratio. But what you will notice right here is that you have more options. You can actually go through all these specific camera types. So I'm going for the Arri Alexa 35, and I really like the Sigma Cine Art lenses here. So I'm going to choose that, and now you will see that you have all these options for your image generation. So next we can also add images as reference like we always were able to do, but what you can now also do is add characters and add locations. And the really cool part is that they have an entire library with a bunch of characters that you can already use, or maybe you want yourself as a character, and that's also completely possible. So what I will do is click here and add a character. As you can see, I created a character of myself right here. So I'm going to create a new character, and as you can see right here, we can upload reference images. So I took a few photos of me here. I'm going to just upload these right here. I'm just going to write something here, and if you want, you can now enhance your prompt by clicking here. And then I'm going to create my character by clicking here. Alright, so after everything has been generated, you can now go through all these photos and pick something that you like the most. And honestly, it did a pretty good job. This looks a lot like me, so I'm going to click here and create character, and I'm going to generate angles. So I'm not going to lose too much time here. Once you're satisfied with your character, you can always go in and edit specific details to make it even better. But I'm going to use this in my project. And so now we can choose our character, use in project. We can use our location, rooftop, use in project. And now we can describe. And now the next cool thing is that you can choose your angle, shot type, lighting, and so much more. So I'm going to choose angle, eye level, shot type. I'm going for a full shot. And then lighting, I'm going for diffused or natural. And I'm going for one image here. You can optimize if you want to. And let's see. Now you can see that it's generating its first version here. So generate whatever image you want, and you can see that you are also stacking up layers. So if you can always go back to your previous versions. And just not to lose any more time, I will show you how to create this effect on this footage right here, which is pretty short, but it shows exactly what we need and works on every footage the same. So I'm going to drag this into Adobe After Effects and drag it into a new composition. Then I'm going to duplicate it and call this Roto. Make sure that we're working in full resolution here and click on the Roto brush tool, and we're going to double click here. And just make a quick draw on our character, just so we have the roto if we want it later on. So something like that, and then preview this by pressing the space bar. And if you think this is all right, we can freeze this roto. Okay, and then go back to my composition. I'm going to use the track matte to the roto and invert it just to remove myself from the background. Then I'm going to move all the attributes, pre-compose this, call it footage, and I'm going to click on track camera. Next, I'm going to create a new solid layer here, and I'm going to call this element. And for this effect, I'm going to be using a plugin called Element 3D from Video Copilot. But don't worry if you don't have it. I have exported a GLB version for you that you can import no matter what in Adobe After Effects. I just want to show you how it's done. So I'm going to apply element here to my solid layer. I'm going to click on Scene Setup, and I'm going to create a sphere. We have the sphere right here, and then I'm going to click on the sphere model, go to scale, uncheck this, and then for the X, I'm going to make it flat, just so we get something like that. Click OK. And then in group 1, I'm going to open Particle Replicator. I'm just going to replicate it quite a bunch. Then in particle look, we can choose the size for our particles. And on the X scatter, I'm going to scatter it so it becomes very wide, and just increase the particle count to match that. Make them smaller if you want to, and then increase the particle random to 100%, and lower the particles if you want to. Or keep them just like that. Then next, I'm going back to my footage, click on the 3D camera tracker, and we can see that now our footage has been tracked. I'm going to select a few points here on the floor, right click and set ground plane and origin, and then right click, create solid and camera. Now our element 3D should also be in our position. So press P on the keyboard for the tracked solid and set the position here for X and Y of element also to 0. Go back to our footage and we can enable our roto and then duplicate it how many times we need it. Click on one, create, click on the other one, create. Keep doing that for all of these. And then click on 1 0 and position it however you want in your scene. And because we created that ground plane, the center should be exactly where these trails are. And just move them back like that. Okay, and if you preview this, these should hang in 3D space and they should look okay. And I don't think we need a roto from here. So what I will do is at the end of my clip, I'm going to press P on the keyboard for all these nodes and create a keyframe for the position. And then at the beginning, I'm just going to offset them all in X position. And if we're going to preview this, they should animate in. So what we can do now is offset a few of these keyframes all however we want. Okay, that's pretty cool. Once you're satisfied with everything, we can select all of our layers and then pre-compose this except for the footage and call this bullet trails. And that should give you something like that. And then create a new adjustment layer and call this displacement and add a displacement map effect to this layer and choose your bullet trails as the layer. Uncheck this layer and just increase the displacement quite a bit and wrap pixels around. And now you should see displacement coming into my shot here. And if you feel like you need more or less displacement, you can just play with these settings here until you are satisfied with what you see. If you feel like there is a little bit too much anti-aliasing, you can just simply add a fast box blur. Place this before the displacement map, set it to 1, and that just gives it a little bit of a softer look. And this would give us these bullet trail effects. Same here, you can also import the bullet tips and animate these through the environment if you would like to. And same for this, we can add an adjustment layer, call this grade, and add a curves and a tint to give it that matrix look. And let's say that one of these bullet trails is going behind. The person. You can see that it's covering me, so then you just use the roto here to cover up that part. And like that, it appears like it's flying behind me. And that's especially visible if it's even more to the front, but in this case, it's not really necessary. But you can see right here, with the roto or without, now it's appearing behind him. Alright, so that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give this video a like. Also be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay notified when I upload new videos. Apart from that, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, maybe you want to continue your After Effects journey with this video, for example. Alright, I'll see you in the next one. Until then, create epic videos. Bye.